Summary of Volpone by Ben Jonson. Volpone is an elderly man who is wealthy and does not have any children. He lives in Venice, Italy. Volpone pulls off a complicated scam with Mosca, who is his parasite, a hanger-on, a lowborn worker or follower who lives off of a rich person. Volpone makes it look like he is very sick so that a few people will think they will be his heir. A lawyer named Voltaire, an even older and sicker guy named Corbaccio, and a merchant named Corvino are the most important of them. Each man is persuaded by Mosca that he is the most likely to become heir, and they all give Volpone gifts and gold to stay on his good side. Volpone has already tricked all the men and even gotten Corbaccio to take his son away from him. Then he finds out that Corvino has a beautiful wife named Celia and decides to try to marry her. Sir Politic would-be, an English knight, meets Peregrine, also English, outside of Corvino's home in a different part of Venice. Sir Politic is very trusting when it comes to home news, and Peregrine asks him for travel tips because he finds Sir Politic so funny. Mosca and Nano, Volpone's dwarf, sneak into the square where Sir Politic and Peregrine are talking while dressed as helpers to a mountebank, which is an Italian con artist. A big group of people in Volpone, who is dressed as a famous mountebank, are following them. Being someone else, Volpone gives a long sales pitch for a magic potion that can fix everything. As planned, he gets Celia's attention because her window is close by. She throws down a towel, but before Volpone can talk to Celia, Corvino drives away the crowd and the mountebank. Corvino is very controlling of Celia, and he threatens to hurt her if she talks to the mountebank. He wants to limit her even more by making her wear a chastity belt and not letting her near windows at all. Soon after making these threats, Mosca shows up at Corvino's house and says that Volpone's doctors have decided that sleeping with a young woman is the only way to heal him. Mosca is able to get Corvino to give Celia to Volpone in exchange for being called heir by putting him up against Voltaire and Corbaccio. Mosca meets Bonario, Corbaccio's son whom he decided to give away earlier in the play, while he is bragging about his skills. Mosca brings Bonario to Volpone's house and hides him so that Bonario can see his father take away his inheritance, which makes things even more chaotic and frustrating for Volpone's victims. Lady Would-Be, Sir Politic's wife, comes to see Volpone while Mosca is still away. She is very talkative. Lady Would-Be is thrown out when Mosca shows up and says he saw her husband with a prostitute. Mosca then hides Bonario so that he can see the fake will being signed. But Corvino shows up early with Celia instead of Corbaccio, who was supposed to make Bonario pay for his mistakes. When Corvino tells Celia why they are there, Celia refuses. Since Corvino can't get her to sleep with Volpone, who is still acting like he is sick, he leaves her with Volpone to see if she'll be more willing when they are alone. Volpone jumps out of bed and tries to make her like him. His first plan doesn't work, so he tries to rape her. But Bonario has been listening and jumps out to save her. To get out of trouble, Mosca and Volpone plan a big lie. At the same time, Sir Politic and Peregrine are having a silly conversation about possible business ideas in the piazza. But Lady Would-Be walks in and thinks that Peregrine is the prostitute Mosca saw with Sir Politic. This stops them in their tracks. When Mosca shows up, he tells her that the prostitute he saw is now in court before the Venetian Senate. She screams at Sir Politic and calls Peregrine a whore dressed as a man. Peregrine thinks that Sir Politic set him up on purpose to make him look bad. Later, as payback, Peregrine makes Sir Politic look bad by saying that the Venetian government wants to arrest him. Voltaire, Corvino, Corbaccio, and Mosca tell a planned lie in court to frame Bonario and Celia. They say Bonario hurt Mosca, tried to kill Corbaccio, and wants to hurt Volpone's reputation by having Celia say that Volpone raped her. Up until now, Mosca has been trying to convince Voltaire, Corvino, and Corbaccio that he only works for them. Volpone has to go to court, and he really does look like he is sick. Volpone is freed because Mosca's plan worked, but he is not happy. He makes up his death so that Voltaire, Corbaccio, and Corvino will be tortured even more. Volpone tells Mosca to tell the men that he is the heir. While Volpone hides, he watches Mosca make Voltore, Corbaccio, Corvino, and Lady Would-be very angry when they find out that none of them have inherited the money. Volpone then dresses up as a police officer to tease everyone even more. But Voltore is pushed too far, and Voltore chooses to admit that he lied in court about Celia and Bonario to defend Volpone's innocence. Volpone saves the day by saying that Voltore was insane when he confessed, but Mosca shows up in court and changes the story. Mosca has chosen to cheat Volpone. He knows that since Volpone is thought to be dead and Mosca is his heir, he can get the money by continuing to act like Volpone is dead. He has this plan to quietly ask Volpone for some of his money in court, but they can't agree on anything. Volpone tells Mosca who he is and what he is planning so that Mosca can't get away with all of his money. The Venetian court puts Mosca in jail for life, disbars and sends Voltore away, locks Corbaccio up in a monastery and gives all of his money to Bonario, shames Corvino in public and formally divorces him, and gives Volpone the upper-class equivalent of the death penalty.
About the author. Jonson was born in 1572. Jonson learned to love traditional learning at the Westminster School, where he was taught by William Camden when he was a child. After finishing Westminster School, he had to work as a bricklayer, but he chose to join the army instead. When he got back to London after the war, his first few years as a playwright were a mess. He went to jail for writing a controversial play, and after he got out, he killed another actor in a fight. Jonson was a divisive figure, and as he moved up the social ladder, he made fun of English society a lot. Even though he still didn't trust English authority, he became famous at court by writing masques in hit plays. This continued until King James I gave him a yearly salary, which made him England's unofficial poet laureate. Jonathan Ross was friends with William Shakespeare. It was Ross who reportedly said that Shakespeare was for all time. In the last few years of his life, Jonson acted as a guide for a group of younger writers known as the Sons of Ben. Jonson kept working until he died in 1637.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.